Hey everyone, it's Blue Lizard Jello, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Different in New Game Plus here in Dark Souls 2, and today we're going to explore the Iron Keep. We'll also take a look at Belfry Sol. Unfortunately, there's really not too much different that's in there. So we've had a bit of a break. We enjoyed immensely the DLC, or at least I did. I hope you did as well. And we'll be going back to the DLC to do an Everything Possible and an Everything Different in New Game Plus. But let's go back to the old series and let's take a look and see what's changed here in Iron Keep. Now the first change, something that I really didn't know was about to happen, once we go through these iron doors, and we're all about to take on these Alonne knights when suddenly, hey, there he is, we have a Black Phantom Alonne captain along with the two knights that are in there now. We're going to see a few more of these before the day is out, I promise you that. Luckily, with our curved magic dragon sword, with that R2, we can actually get a pretty good stun on them from a good distance away. Heading a bit further into the keep, here we are lowering the bridge. And down here on this lower platform that was normally clear, we do have another Alonne Captain Phantom. Take him out pretty easily. Now these do have about double the HP that the regular captains have, but they also do more damage, so please be hesitant when you're actually going to kill them. Make sure you're able to kill them and not just stun them momentarily, or else they can do some serious damage. Now this next addition to New Game Plus might be the biggest troll in New Game Plus. So once we jump over to this platform to pick up the dull Ember, surprise, we are actually blocked by an Alonne Knight. Now if you are not careful, much like I was, there's a good chance that they actually could hit you right into the lava. And I took some very, very close shots here, including running down here near the lava in order to heal up. Fortunately, my well-timed dodges there did not kill me. And eventually I was able to actually become victorious over this knight. But he put up quite the fight. And you can also see that I'm just noticing now that I'm slow rolling yet again. So eventually I will change out my leggings just to drop below 70% so I can at least fast roll. Now coming up is the second biggest troll in Iron Keep New Game Plus. Once you've turned off the fire here, normally you would run in here, you would pick up the loot, and you'd be able to either progress with the level, or you could come back out and fight the Smelter Demon. This time around, however, we blindly run in to get the loot again, only to find not one, but two Alonne captains, who cause bleeding very, very quickly. I would like to say that this encounter ended well, and I actually could say that as long as you're talking about the perspective of the Alonne captains, but as far as I was concerned, this did not go as planned. Now one has to ask the question at this point, so we do have two Phantom Alonne captains inside a furnace, a blast furnace. How are they alive? I understand that maybe in this area you've developed some heat resistance, but I'm fairly sure a blast furnace is going to take out even the strongest knights. And strong they are. So let's try that again from a different angle. So now we're opening the door from the other side, we'll grab their attention. And I decide to take them out with a little bit more distance this time around. Unfortunately, I did find that using the R2 on this sword does not actually stun them unless you're pretty close. So it does damage, it does some AoE, however, not really the stun I was looking for. But that's okay, because of their leashing, I was able to actually separate them on this stairwell. By the way, I use that term quite frequently, so maybe I'll just take a second just to let you guys know exactly what that is, just in case you're unaware. So leashing refers to the maximum extent that an enemy can travel from their starting position, and most enemies have a leashing point. In other words, once you get them to that point, they'll actually stop or even retract back to their original position. Now we're able to pick up the loot, which has changed. So we have a Twinkling Titanite and a Petrified Dragon Bone. Before, we got 2 large Titanite shards and a Twinkling Titanite. But now, just to show you the New Game Plus fight with the Smelter Demon, you can see that I have changed my leggings so we can fast roll for this fight, which to me is very important. Using Flash Sweat just to mitigate some of the proximity damage you take after he buffs with flames, and of course we're going to summon our girl Lucatiel. But other than taking a little bit longer in order to take out the Smelter Demon, this is the same fight as it was in New Game, and it's the same fight it'll be in New Game Plus Plus. And if you don't like the look of the curved dragon's greatsword infused with crystal magic weapon, I honestly feel bad for you. Because it might be one of the coolest looking weapons in the game. So you can see I'm already starting to take that damage, and it's actually taken down pretty quickly. Without Flash Sweat, that is a much more significant damage that you will take. Now I popped a Radiant Life Gem, and I shouldn't have, and the reason is, and someone pointed this out in the comments, and I'm sorry I don't remember who it is at this time, if you use a Life Gem, you will only go up to your maximum HP. It won't continue to give you health as your health ticks down. Once it hits the end of the bar, the effect stops. That is not the case with something like an Elizabeth Mushroom. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to mitigate constant damage like from the flames on the Smelter Demon, you may want to use the Elizabeth Mushroom as opposed to Life Gems. Kind of a do as I say, not as I do moment right here. I remember when I first fought Smelter Demon, and it was a nightmare, and I wasn't sure that I would ever get past it, honestly. And yes, I still make mistakes from time to time, but now he's one of my favorite fights. He has predictable moves that can be easily dodged, but at the same time, you know that if you make a mistake or two, you very well could lose. So it does test your instincts very, very strongly, in my opinion. And there's the kill-stealing Lucatiel at work. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Jerk. I know I shouldn't summon her if I don't want to lose the kill. I get it. And next we have this soul item over here, which has changed. It is now a soul of a brave warrior, which before was a large soul of a proud knight. So a little bit more souls for you. Now in Belfry Sol, this is the only change. You can see that there are 2 phantoms up there, 2 Bell Guardians, both wielding dual Avalons. That's the only change. There was 1 in New Game, now there's 2. All the items are the same, all of the other enemies are the same. We just now have to fight the 2 dual-wielding Avalon Guardians, which are probably the easiest enemies on this rooftop. I'm not going to show you killing both because I did pull one away and left the other on the roof. I'll just show you the killing one, and, well, you can just assume that I was able to kill the other. Or you can assume that I died a horrible, horrible death over and over, rage quit, and uninstalled the game. It's up to you. And here we have this chest coming up. This is a common theme in New Game Plus. You'll actually get more arrows in New Game Plus typically than you will in New Game, and this is an example of that. In New Game, we got 10 destructive great arrows, and now we get 30. Now, climbing up this ladder, there's another change here, surprise, surprise. We have another Black Phantom Alonne Captain. Luckily, he's in a narrow enclosure, already bottlenecked. As long as you have a moveset that doesn't do too many horizontal sweeps, you should be fine. The next change is this extra Alonne Knight here, who is on the catwalk with the smelting pot in the middle of it, where you pick up the covetous gold serpent ring. Fortunately, his aggro is pretty derpy, and once you hit him with an arrow, most of the time he's just going to back up against that wall and you're free to take him out with range, or hop down and risk your life. I'm not your mother. here's the last enemy change in New Game Plus in Iron Keep, right at the top of this ladder, which is right before the old Iron King. Up at the top of this ladder and another one, you'll find the last bonfire and a lever to turn off all these flames. You'll find one more Black Phantom. I decided I should jump down this ladder shaft and nearly kill myself, that way I could give him a fighting chance. Not a pro tip, just my personal preference. And yes, he does follow you. Wasn't actually sure if he would, so I tried to go up there and confront him, but then I had a brilliant idea. I'll just let the flames kill him. So I just sit back and watch happily as he comes right through the flames and then decides to kill me with a spin to win. Lovely. But vengeance will be ours. Now this enemy is kind of unique. He's a human enemy, but he's wearing some of the ironclad armor, specifically the chest piece, and he's wielding a demon's great hammer. So he is a heavy, but he also, I don't know if he's wearing any pants. I'm not really sure what happened there. Maybe he is and I'm just missing it, or maybe I'm choosing to see him with no pants. I don't really know, but I'll bring that up to my therapist later. So I decided to climb all the way up here and light the bonfire just in case he's able to take me out again, but also because I thought maybe I could actually knock him off the ledge for a glorious, glorious end to this fight. But alas, he's a bit too wily for me. And then I have the idea, I'll just run up here and plunge attack. But he's too wily for me. And then I decide, you know what? I'll just run in with my R1, take him out. But he has too much health for me. And then I have another great idea. Let's try that plunging attack because it worked so great the first time. Okay, it worked this time, but he still had a little bit too much health. So one last hit, and he's done. So from here, I decide not to cut the video, even though there's nothing different in between here and the old Iron King. But it's such a short travel time, I figured we can just hang out for a little bit. Maybe talk about current events, of which I don't know any. I can talk about the weather. Let me take a look outside. It's sunny. It's probably warm outside based on the sun. I tried to jump over this guy, no such luck. But I also did want to leave this fight in here because I'm not sure if everyone actually knows this, but if you time your dodges right, you can actually get up really close to these ironclads, and you can dodge right at them, and you can actually roll under that overhead swing. You can do it with the horizontal as well. I find the overhead a little bit easier to time. Just watch your stamina. And with him out of the way, we are now clear to take out the Old Iron King in New Game Plus, and there is a difference in what he drops, much like the other great ones. The fight is the same, but you do get an extra soul, and you'll see that in just a moment. And here is a little tip. I recommend don't use any buffs until you're into the boss arena. He gives you ample time, but if you do it before, you actually could waste time that you might have needed in order to take him out. Great opening, great opening. Even with a slow weapon like my Curved Dragon Greatsword, I'm able to get 3 hits on that open. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, between the DLC series and this episode, I'm absolutely in love with the running R1 slash attack on most swords. And by now this is common knowledge, but as long as he's in the center of the arena, when he does that sweeping fire breath, you can just hide next to that building. It's when he does more so of a straight shot like he just did there, that you need to hightail it out. And unfortunately, I waited just not long enough to clear that AoE, but with the R2 I got some damage still. Should be able to take him out in just one more cycle. And sure enough. And as long as you're quick, by the way, you can actually go into your inventory and re-equip an extra Souls ring, so you can get extra souls. So we have the old Iron King Soul, but we also picked up the old King Soul. The old King Soul actually referring to Gwyn from Dark Souls 1. So there you go. And apparently I'm debating whether or not to pick up Sublime Bone Dust, which I really don't need, because once you're at +5, you can't do anything but either discard that, hold on to it for a keepsake, or you can sell it to Gavlon. But that is the Iron Keep and Belfry Sol in New Game Plus. So not too many item changes, but a lot of extra Black Phantoms to deal with. So I hope you guys learned something. If you did, leave me a comment below, and if I missed something, you gotta let me know that as well. And hopefully you guys are enjoying this New Game Plus series, and I'll catch you guys next time.